The Ripple HVAC Toolkit version 8 was just released, and I want to show you some of the new features. I'm not going to go over the whole toolkit. I'm just going to go over the new features in version 8, and I'll put links to the other webinars in the description of this video. So the big updates have been to the air terminal selection and placement tool and the terminal unit auto select tool. So we'll pop open the air terminal selection and placement tool. The first thing you'll notice is that we have added an option to host to reference planes at ceiling elevations. So if you check that, so first we'll place some diffusers here on the ceiling, and it's going to host these diffusers right to the ceiling. If we check the host to reference plane at ceiling elevation, instead of hosting it to the ceiling, it's going to check for a reference plane at that ceiling elevation, and if it doesn't find it, it'll create it, and then it'll host these diffusers to that reference plane instead. That way, if the architect's ceiling moves, your diffusers aren't going to move with the ceiling because they'll be hosted to your own reference plane in the mechanical model. Past that, we've added the options to do linear slot diffusers. So if you want to add linear slot diffusers to your spaces, you add a selected space, and then you check Use Slot, and you assign the percentage of the air you wanted to go to a slot diffuser. And what's going to happen is when you place air terminals in this, it will take that percentage and put 4-foot linear slots over the windows, and then it will size the slot width and the slot count to have a T50 throw down to the floor. So if it's an 8-foot ceiling, it'll throw T50 at 8 feet. So if we only send 50% of the air to the slots, it will have, less slots and lower slot widths. If we want all of the air to go to the slots, we can do that too. Check new slots. Let's make this 100%. Place air terminals. And then I'll send all the air to these slots, and it'll make them, wider slots, wider and more slots. So that's slot diffusers. We've also added sidewall diffusers that can also be placed in this space. So those are placed very similarly to the other diffuser types. We've just added them here. So just like the other diffuser types, you can pick your max NC, max pressure, or your CFM, and pick them from here, and pick them from the drop down. If they're selected in the drop down, they'll lay them out in the spaces you pick. Let's make sure we've got all these selected. So when I check a space, it places air terminals. The only difference is that the layout will be totally different. So what's going to happen is if the shorter side of the space subsection is less than 25 feet, it will put one line of slot diffusers down the edge of the space. So it's placing them on the wall like you're going to run a duct behind the wall. If you're going to run a duct in the space, you can just move these out and enough for the duct to run out and tap off to feed these. The return is also always going to be on the short side. And again, you can move this as needed to get ducts in, or if it's just going to transfer, you could leave it there or move it however you see fit. But the important thing is it gets the right sizes in based on the airflow to the space and the total airflow for the space. For wider spaces where you can't really serve all of the air down one side, so anything greater than 25 feet, it's going to put a line in the middle with the intention of the duct running down the middle and tapping off to serving these grills, and again, returns down the side. So that'll go up to 70 feet. And then anything past 70 feet, it'll do 2 rows and so on. So you could get really big spaces, and you could lay out these sidewalls that go through this space. The other feature. The last feature we added for the air terminal units is, let's lay out some diffusers here, is we have in the tools, we have a reassign space airflow to existing air terminals. So let's say we laid out these air terminals and then the loads change. So this space was at 605 CFM. Let's say it goes to 805 CFM. So 805. So this was at 605, so 300 and 305. But let's say it changes. So we go in here, we hit tools, we hit reassign airflows to existing air terminals, and now we just take that new space airflow and reassign the airflow to the existing air terminals. Now this will not change the size of the air terminals. It will just dumbly reassign the airflow. So these are going to have to be checked manually. And the reason we do that is because if these are ducted and you change the size of the diffuser, Revit will just automatically add a transition, and you might have a 10-inch duct running to an 8-inch grill, and everything will look right, but it's not right. So we want to make all of that happen manually. If you need to manually change the size of this, you need to manually change the duct size. So you could check your NCs and throws in here. Now, normally, once you have diffusers laid out, loads aren't changing very much, so that shouldn't be too big of a problem, but it is something that you have to manually check. Other than that, the terminal or the air terminal layout tool is the exact same helpful tool it's always been. We've just added some features to cover more diffuser types, layout types, and then diffuser models. Now let's go to the terminal unit auto select tool. Now the terminal units auto select tool used to be called the VAV auto select tool, but we've added fan power boxes. So now you can automatically select fan power boxes along with your VAVs. Now most of the input is exactly the same as it was with VAVs. We've just separated the input into tabs, and then we've added a fan tab for your fan power boxes where you can select the motor type and select the voltages. We could automatically link the fan voltage to the heater voltage based on your load that you're setting here, so that it'll automatically coordinate all that with you. But largely the same as the VAV tool because a lot of the inputs are the same. The big change is now you can select terminal units by zone, and you don't have to select every terminal unit at the same time. So when you pop open the terminal unit list, it's going to list every zone with some more information. So it's going to pull information from the space and compare it to the existing terminal unit and see if you need to reselect that. So I don't have any terminal units in this model, so it's telling me I need to select new terminal units for all the zones. So let's say I want hot water VAVs everywhere. Let's say I have a boiler system. So I'm going to select the default terminal unit type, hot water VAV, refresh data, and it's going to turn everything to hot water VAV. But let's say I have like a remote zone somewhere that, here, first let's go to the zoning map so we could kind of see what the different zones are here. Let's say I have a remote zone that I want an electric VAV in for some reason. I could just change that to electric VAV, and then now an electric VAV will be selected for that zone. Or let's say I want a hot water fan power unit for one of the zones. I can select that easily too. So once you have everything set the way you want, you just like the VAV auto select, you say select batch select, and it will automatically go up to the price selection API, pick the right unit given your inputs, and then drop it in the model. Sometimes can take a little while depending on how fast the API is moving, but it drops them in as you can see. So as you can see, got hot water everywhere except for we've got an electric VAV here and a fan powered unit here. Okay, so let's close this out, and let's say we'll pick on this zone. Let's say this zone changes back, because that never happens. Things change and then they change back, right? So let's say this goes back to 605 CFM. Now, when I open up the terminal unit auto select tool, I open up this list. And now it says, hey, all of these, I've got terminal units in these spaces that are meeting the airflow and the heating demand, except for this space. This space doesn't line up. You should reselect this electric VAB. It also pulls in the existing terminal unit types, so you don't have to reset those every time. But it allows you to get much more granular, and you don't have to reselect every VAB every time you want to make an update. So it's a super helpful feature. Going over every feature of the Loads Toolkit takes a very long time, so check out the rest of the webinars, and hopefully this is a really helpful tool for you. Again, it's free. It's sponsored by Price Industries. So get in there and relieve yourself of the drudgery of selecting terminal units. All right. Thanks a lot.